Today, I'm going to show you how I turn this pile of garbage into a steam generator, power up your robot, water pump, and so much more. First, we're going to need some trash. As I was wandering in the woods, I came across this little river. In it was a bit of pollution that consisted of cans, bottles, and a paint can. Kind of sick-minded individual. Oh, it's you. Never mind. I went ahead to help out Mother Nature by removing the cans and bottles from the stream. I got it all in my backpack and made my way back home. So in this video, I'm gonna leave the cans and bottles to one side for now. I'm going to try and turn this into a steam generator. However, this can is a mess, so I need to clean it up first. Look at that. All this black stuff kind of reminds me of Spider-Man's arch nemesis, Venom.
Who the hell is this guy?
After removing the symbiote from the can, I got it into a bucket, submerging it in some thinners, and gave it a good scrub down. I want this can to be nice and shiny, so I used some 100 grit sanding paper on it. So that's probably as good as I'm gonna get it. So next up, we have to attach something to the lid of the can to help keep it suspended in the air, while at the same time it has to rotate freely. I used a hole saw to cut out a little wheel and got these magnets out of this bit of plastic. Drilled a few holes for the magnets to fit into. I added a bit of adhesive into the holes and stick the magnets into place. So this needs to go on top of the lid, like that, and a dowel to keep it suspended in the air. Maybe we need to seal that. Got it nice and thick on there. And let that dry. That's much better. So to help the shaft rotate freely, I'm gonna add this little bearing. I wrapped a bit of electrical tape around the dowel to act as Loctite to hold the bearing in place. That's nice and tight. After a quick spin test, I thought it would be for the best if I just glue the wheel and the dowel to the lid. Problem fixed. So next up, I'm going to poke a few holes in opposite ends to allow steam to escape, which will also rotate the can around. When making the holes, make sure you bend them in the direction you want the can to move to, and rotating it around, you have to do the same on the other side. Next, I try to fill the can with a bit of water, not really an effective method. I think I'm gonna use this pipe instead. I held the water in my mouth with one end of the pipe pressed over one of the little holes. I forced the water from my mouth through the pipe and into the can. With all that done, I got the propane tank out, lit it on fire. Happy New Year's! Or so I thought, as the wind just blew it out. So I took it to the back of the house to try again. And with boiling water and hot steam erupting from the side holes, I'd say we're off to a great start. But as I went to pick it up, the glue released its bond. So I wrapped a thin piece of wire around it and went to try again. With steam firing out of the jet holes, there was just no spin. So I came to the conclusion, I think I may have made the holes too big. I inserted a thin piece of metal tube where the holes once were, added a bit of silicone and tried again. This time we do have a tiny bit of spin. These few turns got me real excited, but sadly it didn't last. I pinched the metal tubes a bit more narrow, hoping that would provide more thrust. It didn't work. So I couldn't get this can to rotate consistently. That may be due to the fact that this can is just too heavy, or my little propane tank just doesn't have enough heat to keep it going. So instead what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to use the smaller but lighter soda can, and hopefully we will get some better results. This time around, I'm going to use a much smaller sewing needle to make the holes. And if you're using a sealed can like I am, make sure you have a good grip on the needle. As I went ahead to drain the fluid from the can, which was taking way longer than I have expected, so I widened the holes using a much larger needle. That's much better. And after a quick soda break, I cut out another little wheel, removed the can opener, and stuck the wheel on the can, using silicone this time. As I've seen, it doesn't come loose when it's heated up. I then wrapped some tape around the dowel, got the bearing over, and filled the can with a tiny bit of water. Then, I got the propane tank lit, heated up the can, and got it in the air for a quick test. Well, that worked. My arm was getting a bit tired of holding this can, so I'm going to use these bits of wood to build a frame to keep it hovered over the flame. Since the top part of the propane tank is made of metal, I went ahead to drill some holes to the feet of the frame to hold some magnets in place. And used the spade bit to drill some holes in the center for some bearings to fit into. Then fitted the bearings inside of the frame and went ahead to do a test fit. Perfect. So as this can is turning, we wanted to generate some electricity. So I'm going to connect this to a little pulley system that is going to connect to this little motor, which is going to give us some energy. I cut off a square piece of wood, taped it to the motor. Then I drilled a tiny little hole in this dowel and glued the top and bottom to it and squeezed the motor shaft into the little pulley. Next, I filed a groove into this wooden wheel, fitted it onto the can shaft and clamped the motor next to it. And wrapped this rubber band over both wheels. Then lit the propane tank. And as steam was coming out of the can, I gave the wheel a slight turn. A little bit shaky, but let's see how much power we're getting. So around 2.3 volts, not bad. So let's see what we can power with this thing. 2 volt may not be a lot of power, but it does allow me to drive around little baby Wally, pump a bit of water with this tiny water pump, and at night we can power up some LEDs to see in the dark a bit better. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you want to see more bonus content, early access to the latest videos, stuff like that, I will leave it on my Patreon, and I'll see you in the next one.